We are wrapping up Women's History Month here at IndyCar. She rewrote the most recent history here in IndyCar, Danica Patrick. Danica, thanks so much for joining us. And we got a little surprise for you. Happy birthday. This is going to air on your birthday.
Oh, cool. Happy birthday, me. Yeah.
You get to celebrate a little longer.
Actually, we can talk about the age. I'm not one of those girls. I'm 39.
Ooh, so 1 year away from the big one.
They're all big ones.
All big at this point.
You know, they're all big ones because of not necessarily just like the number, but the life experience, the lessons, the joys, right? Like they're big for a lot of reasons.
So in preparation for this, I was actually listening to your podcast, which I want to dive into a little deeper later. So it's funny you talk about how lessons and getting deep, because that's something that you and Dario talked about on one of your episodes. But something Dario also brought up was what it's like to be a girl. And I thought it was really interesting, your answer. You said, I don't know what it's like to be a girl. I've always been a girl. But you're also the only Danica Patrick. So what were those extra like demands and expectations like as Danica Patrick?
I mean, the things that I could see that were different would be like, I mean, and some of it was like, I was very fortunate for them. I mean, having interview opportunities and sponsor obligations and photo shoots, awards shows, or, whatever comes along. Those things were all, I think I had additional stuff in some of those categories a lot of the times, but they were very fortunate. I suppose if it was from the other side of things, like something that was, a pressure, perhaps it was, I still stand behind this. It really was more of a hope. It wasn't like I had to do anything. It was just like, you felt that people really were cheering and rooting for you, especially, fans, and, they really wanted to see you do well. So I feel like there was such a hope that it would turn out the way that they were hoping. You know what I mean? Like it gave them something to cheer for. But it was more of a hopeful side of things than some level of expectation.
You certainly gave fans something to cheer for in 2005 when you came to IndyCar. Do you feel like there was like a step you took in your career that really made the biggest impact in getting that seat?
Yeah, probably going to England. I think going to England was a really big thing because that's what ended up, well, I met Bobby Rahal when I was there. And then when I came back, he saw that as very much like a dedication and commitment to the sport. And so I really think it was going to England that made the biggest difference in me getting a ride with Bobby. And then, that kind of, once it took its head, it was on its way.
Then just a short time later, you took the lead at Indy, which is a moment that is like concreted in IndyCar fans' memories, I think. What do you remember about those laps?
Well, I remember when I took the lead, I remember obviously it was under caution because I was off strategy and I inherited the lead. And I remember going down the back straightaway and, the race was obviously coming down to the last stint. And the fans were all on the railings and cheering. And I thought, man, they're so excited. The race is almost over. And, looking back, obviously it had a little bit to do with me too. But then, I remember losing the lead and I remember taking it back on a restart. And so, yeah, that was pretty exciting and still probably my favorite clip that exists that is on YouTube is a clip that looks like it's from the grandstands. And it is from the grandstands, and it's someone just filming it. And you can hear us coming and we sound like a fleet of fighter jets, and well, kind of are. And then you can hear everyone start to say, she did it, she got it. And then everyone starts going crazy and erupting. And that like gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it, to hear it from their perspective. Which is, I guess, why afterwards, like people were asking me, did you hear the fans when you took the lead? And I'm like, no. It's like, 700 plus horsepower and 30 of my friends, like, no way I didn't hear it.
But you took the time under that caution to look up into the grandstands.
Yeah, I guess I did, I guess I did have a moment of looking around, and maybe it was because peripheral, it was different. The peripheral was different. And so all of a sudden I see some stuff going on, but yeah, I did. I looked over.
Do you watch that video often?
Only like if it comes up in conversation about Indy or anything about that. I'm like, oh, let me show you my favorite clip. But it's like 90 seconds.
Yeah. Throughout your years in IndyCar, fast forward just a few years, you were getting the question all the time, Danica, when are you going to win? Danica, when you're going to win? You finally did in Motegi. And I love watching that video because I just see relief wash over you. Really, were you feeling more relief or more excitement for what you thought this could do for your career?
Definitely relief. I Yeah, I mean, to tell that story I just did about Indianapolis and have that be my fourth IndyCar race in 2005, and then to finally win in 2008, like, it just felt like it took a long time to go from nearly doing it at the very beginning to 2008. Especially with 2007, I felt like I was so fast in 2007, but there was just, there was so much going on with team and, like, helping Dario out. And I remember I was fast and I was always running in the top 5-ish. And we were just kind of helping out. And I just was mad at myself for never taking it into my own hands and just doing whatever I wanted out there. And so, I feel like, I feel like, I feel like 2008 was just a big relief. I mean, from the side of like, what could it do for my career, I was not thinking about it necessarily from a driving side as much of like a commercial side. And I remember agents telling me, they're like, when you win, everything will be like, then everything will change. And you want to know what changed? Just about nothing. I mean, like, it wasn't like all of a sudden I had like sponsors knocking down the door and endorsements and stuff. It wasn't like that. So but it was a big relief when it finally happened.
Hearing you talk about your career, it feels a little bit like you still might feel like there's some unfinished business there.
No.
None?
No. Nope. I have no desire to go back. I just came from a hike. I was hiking with my mom and a couple friends, and we were talking about it because everybody's a couple of them are involved in racing as well. And they were like, people ask me all the time about going back to it. And I'm like, oh no. I am good. I am good. I have no issues.
And remaining plenty busy now. You've got your podcast, which I mentioned I listened to a few episodes, loved the episode with Dario specifically. You were interviewed and have been interviewed so many times. What's it like being on the other side of it?
Yeah, it's fun. Actually, this is the first interview I've done with my new piece of art. I had nothing behind me. It was all white. And so this is brand new. So first time it's being put to a good use. But it's what, it makes things like this so easy. Like, I've got, all my little lights and everything, and I'm all set up. I just like plug in and turn it on. And but I just really love talking to people. And I was just talking about it today on the hike. I'm like, guys, I've interviewed like the most fascinating people lately. And it always feels like I'm always interviewing the most fascinating person, because as my interests expand and change and shift and evolve, my guests do too. It's a reflection of my interests.
Somnium, the Danica Rose, the podcast, have those all kind of been like bubbling under the surface passion projects during your career, or did they just kind of pop up when you stopped racing?
So Somnium started, I bought the property back in 2009.
Oh, wow.
So I hadn't even gone to NASCAR yet.
Yeah.
So that's been super long project. The Danica Rose kind of came obviously much more recently as a result of being involved in the wine business. And then the podcast was really, that's sort of the idea of that started. I think it started really in the beginning of 2019. And then it started later that year in the fall, late summer. And that was just, a matter of podcasts were starting to get really popular, and I'm not into doing things that are popular. In fact, I think if you get into something when it is popular, you've already missed the window. Like you have to just get into things and if it turns out to be good. So to be honest, I feel like podcasts were starting to get a little bit popular, but I got in just in time to be someone with, enough experience when that started to be things that everyone was listening to. So so yeah, I feel like the podcast was really just, somebody said that it's a matter of talking to people and having conversations, and I was like, wait, I love doing that.
Seems easy enough.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the next passion project?
That it's funny, that is a question that comes up, like what's next, and it's like, I don't know, I'm doing the next. I feel like I'm in the next, which is these wines and the show and traveling and everything. So I also love the idea of maybe it's a question similar to, where do you want to go on vacation, or what's your favorite place you've been? And the answer for me would be like, probably somewhere I've never been, because I just love to travel that much. I love new horizons. So what's my next passion project? I don't know. I've yet to figure that out, but I assure you, once I figure it out, it's already on its way. It's just, at some point in time, I'll realize what the next thing is. So yeah. But I have enough to keep me busy right now.
A travel documentary, maybe?
I don't know. I do love to travel. I do. Somebody had the idea of something that sort of pairs up travel and spirituality, and like it'd be really cool to do a show around. Have you ever heard of something called the thin places?
No.
So the thin places are these places in the world where the veil, the sort of quantum or energetic veil, is thinner between
Oh,
you and sort of the spirit realm,
yes.
or sort of like the energy around us that lays in this thick layer of walled barrier of stuff, whether it be like Wi-Fi or electronics, or maybe just somewhere, like there's also a thing in the world called like ley lines, where energetic points intersect and there's more energy. One of those places would be like Egypt, right? Or Sedona, or like Mount Shasta, or there's places all over the world that have these reputations as being more spiritual. So that'd be kind of cool to do a show around like those places. I don't know. We're totally riffing right now, but birthing ideas to go into to make a business is not the hardest thing for me.
So we'll kind of wrap this up, go from the beginning of your career to the end of your career, even to now. I mean, your career is not over, obviously, as a businesswoman. What do you hope your career says to men, women, young, old, everybody?
My racing career, or my total like life, like my body of work of life?
Let's do two, your racing career and
Okay.
then your whole body of work too.
Okay. So I would hope that, with the racing career, I would hope that I would hope that people look back and just think to themselves, like, I said this when I was still racing, which is, I hope they remember me as a great driver, and then that I was a woman. Like, I want them to be like, man, she really was legit. Like, there's so much around sort of being female, but I hope that people look back with perspective and go, yeah, she was really good. In fact, I actually just saw Jeff Gordon, and he said something to that effect, like something about being a girl. And then it was like, he was like, you're pretty good too. Like, so that would be the way I'd hope to be remembered. And it's just that I was just one of them that sort of transcended the gender into this sort of space of being able to have the memory of me being a great driver, regardless of gender. And then that being part of the story too. That doesn't bother me. And then as far as my body of work, my life's work, I really feel like I'm here to help wake people up to their potential. So even in the domain of racing, it was to wake them up that they could do anything, right? It was to wake them up that they, no matter if you're different or not, that you can go do whatever it is that you love. And then to embrace whatever it is that's different about you, and recognize that that's your strength and not your weakness. So now it's like it's sort of expanded into more areas where it's like wake up to the potential of your mind and what you have, how you have control over your life. Perception is reality, and so you hold that power. So waking up to that, waking up to um, levels of institutions and structures that are in existence that may not be for our best interest, and to empower people to do their own homework and look inside themselves for answers, and that we hold so many of those answers intuitively inside of ourselves. And so and so really it ends up falling along into this category of like just waking up to your potential to live your
Okay.
best life.
I'm so a fan of the travel documentary Spiritual Thing. You nailed it just now.
Cool. I love
That's
that.
your
Thank
next
you.
project.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Danica, happy early birthday. Hope you have
Thank
a great celebration. Thanks for joining
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hello, Indianapolis,
us.
second home.